All right, morning everybody. It is September 10th, I believe, Wednesday, um, roughly about 8 o'clock in the morning right now. And yeah, I'm in a different setting. I usually like to have the same setting, uh, and it appears would be the same outfit every single time. But as you can see, I have a little change here. I am also in Florida right now, so I'm still shooting this video regardless. Today's topic or code version is TECH-001, and this will be into, I haven't had a title for this yet, but technical detail onto the first part of the formula that I want to talk about. So oftentimes I've talked about F and the S4 and F equals SBP, right? So if you're not familiar with that, I'm going to go into a little bit in detail. Actually, it's segmented because it's a long topic. So um, F is basically the flow, right? The initial flow to create the expansion from the source. The S1 is basically starting from the source. The S2 is basically the shape based off the elbow and the knees. And then finally, the S3 is the seal of the hands and of the feet. And then finally, S4 is the return back. And that's the flow returning back as far as if I did the full motion, it'd be expansion and contraction of the actual breath itself. But we're not going to be talking about each segment of that. And I'm just going to focus particularly on the upper part of the arms, okay? Now, when we look at this, and to be more specific, I'm going to talk about just one section of the arms because there's more detail to go into that. So when you look into, let's say, 20-man technique or any form of that, if I'm doing something like, let's go tan, bong, lap. Okay, now elbows are responsible for the shape of the circle that you're creating, but the hands are responsible to make the seal. The detail in the seal is more than just simply having the hands come together. In other words, I'll do multiple angles from here. If I do the tan, right, you have tan and then wusao, right? Or tan and wusao. So if you can picture it, it's combining into this area, tan and wusao. If you have bong and then wusao, right? Bong and wusao. You have lap and then wusao. Lap and wusao. So each motion basically is like a form of a hug. Tan, bong, lap for all 20 single man techniques. But the detail into that isn't that if you can just simply have your hands, like I think the bong sao is easiest to see. When you see the bong sao combined together, see the motions are combining together as opposed to bong and then here, right? It looks about the same when I do it. But when the bong sao goes here in this motion and the wusao is here, a little bit of a bridge gap as far as the overall. My main goal is to actually have like a hug, even if it's not together, like visually close to each other, like a hug. The end motion, like when we draw a triangle together, my hands may be here, but the end motion it goes to the triangle. My end motion could be this far apart as far as my hands are, but the end motion is to each other. Okay. Now, if you look at bong sao here, if I do bong is coming this way down and wu sao is this way out, right? This looks like it's okay, right? This motion is here. But if you look at it, notice one motion is here going this way, and this motion is here. And I'm trying to figure out which angle works together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2, but the end motion goes for the wusao is a little out. But if you look at it, so wrong would be 1 and then 2. See how it's like this? But look how I do this one, 1. See how it's actually combining together, not the last second slightly separating. And then if you go 1 and then 2, I still have this motion of wusao. But the end motion is when, look at this hand motion. I'm actually going here to complete the wusao, not here. At the last second while I'm going here, it goes out. Here, settles in. Now, may not seem like a big deal, but the end result is that is only one part of how you seal the ball when this is responsible for the shape. So not only does the hands have to go meet each other to create that seal, that detail of it. Like if you look at the tan also, you have the tan and the wusao, right? And notice that the last second the wusao is here, like I'm going like this. So in other words, tan is coming this way, right? It looks like it's cutting this way. But notice if I cut this way and I cut this way, you're actually opening up. And when you open up instead of sealing the ball, you end up pushing or shoving or going further out than what you're actually expanding to do. I want that hug sensation. So even though the cut may be this way, right, for tan, and the wusao may be this way for the cut, look at the end motion here. The wrong way is this. 1, 2, and I'll exaggerate it so it looks like this. But look how I do this one. The two hands, right? I still have the cut. They're going together in order for you to achieve that seal of the ball, okay? And that's just the directional seal of the ball. In order to actually complete the full seal of the ball, requires you to have the hollow palm. Why is the hollow palm important? Because if you think of it, one flow coming in, one flow coming out, like flow to expand, flow to relax. To complete the full flow, not only from the flow is from here to the elbows, all the way to the fingertips, the hollow palm has to be correct in order to complete the seal. Why? Because going back to like say something like bong, when I do bong and wusao, right? Bong, wusao combined, notice the hands are going together to do the bong, not right separating apart, together. The further details in the hollow palm is if the hollow palm doesn't allow for the full flow to go to the fingertips, right? Because the palm is controlling the fingertips, all 5 of them for both sides. If you don't allow for the hollow palm to occur within the formation of this circle, then the flow ends up here, stopping at the wrist. And if you don't complete the full flow of that from the hand formation, that's why your SBP or sticky breath point has a slide, right? Has a slide to it. Without the full hollow palm to the fingertips and the seal involved, then you won't create the ball and the ball will end up pushing. But at the same time, the full flow to the fingertips based off the hollow palm won't create the sticky point at the end result that you want. That is a key detail in making sure that fully works. So that seal is very important of the hollow palm in order for you to achieve that. So you can see it's not just a simple case of having the hug together. I look from here, I can hug the ball and go like this. Now the motion's correct to seal the ball, but the hollow palm is incomplete. This is still not enough for this to work. Okay, still not enough for it to work. So while there's a whole section that we can discuss further regarding the shape of that, I don't know, maybe we should talk about that too. Right? So yeah, let's talk about that. It's only 8 minutes into the video. The elbow is responsible for the shape, right? So let's go back to the bangsang. Notice when I create the shape in itself, like when I have the shape here, I have the same shape, right? When I go tan, bang, lap. Notice the elbow is responsible for 2 things, actually several things for the shape. I'm not going here, here, or here. Notice the shape basically retains the same time. So look at this shape that's determined by my elbow. The elbow controls that portion significantly. If this shape is lost, then basically the flow is compromised. So you could be flow okay here, you expand too much, you tighten here, you jam yourself in. So this elbow is responsible for that. So remember, flow to create it is just as important as flow to contract it back in, right? So you gotta remember that as far as the elbow's responsibility. Shape in itself too is like if bangsang's shape is here, right? See how I'm doing this one and this motion's here? If this shape is required to have a free flow to it. If you look at my bangsang, look how I create the circle here when I do it, right? Circle to make a bangsang. If I do the bangsang shape, like this is okay, but this is, see how this one's like more jammed in, or this one's further out. If the balance of the shape creating that circle is wrong, you'll have a tightness. If tightness occurs, then the hollow palm is harder for you to pull off. So this is very responsible for the elbow to do that too. So you have that, not only this, right, responsible for this, right, but also responsible for making sure this is like a free flow the entire time. And the other thing that's responsible for the elbow is also the sink, right? Without the sink being implemented in place, like if I do bangsa this, okay, this is like a natural bangsa, this is good. But let's say I do bangsa like this, and it looks almost the same, but look, without the sink in place, I'll exaggerate a bit, without the sink being received, the elbow is responsible for a lot of things. Without the sink coming into place, then the shoulder doesn't end up stretching. Without the shoulder having that natural stretch with it, you can't connect this top ball with the middle ball, right? So you see basically the role it's involved in. This controls it, almost like locks it in place. There's one. Two, responsible for drawing the circle, right? You have to draw the circle within a free flow. I can't have one jammed in here. I do it the motions together. See how I have a circle with the elbow? It creates it so there's constant flow. If you create the circle and the flow is off, the flow coming in affects the flow coming out. And then finally, the flow regarding the elbow is also the sink. This stretch here, this sink here needs to be correct. Otherwise, the shoulders don't stretch. Don't over exaggerate it, but it has to have a stretch. Okay, without the stretch, the shoulders do not connect to the body. And without that connection, even if you do everything right, the unity is not there. Okay, so I think in essence, that's there's more detail to that. But for now, I want you to just work on that, right? Right, you want the hug. The hug is important when you finish the seal of the ball, but the hollow palm is essential to complete the seal of the ball for the hands, because otherwise the flow doesn't get to the fingertips. And then without the flow getting to the fingertips, the flow jams here at this point. If this jams here, you're gonna slide instead of making it stick. All right, hopefully that's good enough, and keep practicing.